What's going on, YouTube? Time for another recap. So if you missed yesterday's video, check it out in the description. We're going to go over a few things that I covered on how we predicted this bounce. Very simple. So we're at about 1,200 bucks green today. Here's the P&L on the funded, and let's get into it. So today, how did we predict this? Now, we had another after hours algorithm right here. I'm not going to tell you exactly how. A lot of my paid service members that come in pay a lot of good money for why we do this, but I drew a Fibonacci down, and on the way back down, this is in the last few days what we had seen for price action. So short all the way down into the 2618 retracement, right? Back to the 1618. So today, here's your 2618, or not today, a couple days ago. Here, back up to 1618. And then once it breaks back down into the 2, where does it go? 423.60, right? So that would be the full Fibonacci all the way back down to the extension. So let's go look at where we ended up this morning. Go to the minute chart so we can see it to the minute. There it is on the left of your screen. That up, 423.60. So let's see what that is. 468.21. Oh, weird. Bottom of the day, yesterday's low. So why did we say buy up this hit, right? We hit it yesterday. We're double bottoming. If you watched yesterday's video on the prediction, we run something called a 10 SMA loop. So if I put something on right here, a little easier for you guys to see, this is what we predicted in the video. The 10 SMA has an algorithm about it where if we ride the 10 SMA for multiple times, especially in a melt up like we have right here, see all the price action above, here's your 10 SMA, the blue dashed. And then once we break under that 10 SMA, we have about 1 to 3. Usually it's 2 red days underneath the 10 SMA. That is an algo protocol that runs all the time. And what you're going to see is it goes down for 2 days and then it grabs support and pushes back up, right? So for our call, we're looking for the lower high, like we said in the last video, or double top, DT, or an opportunity to further the downside, right? So something interesting happened on Qs today, and what we want to look for the rest of the day, or why we were long. Let's go into it. So Qs, this is where we played most of our plays. They've had some ES, couple $100 too, but Qs had a double gap scenario. Let me get an easier chart to see on this sucker. Bam. So on the Qs, this green level was a double gap fill. So we opened up in a major support, and I just told my whole group to go long for the next whole week. It's full swing. Nothing is going to stop us from getting a very nice loop unless we get some kind of outsourced crazy news piece, which we won't because the algorithms have to play out appropriately. So let's take a peek at the Qs daily. Again, I post these trades for free, or have been, which I probably will not forever, on Twitter at Walshy Trades. And this is the prior Qs gap. So when we have a gap, these scenarios magnet a lot of the time. Here's the gap on the prior, right around 397, some change there. And then you notice today we opened up underneath it, right? Here's our open, and that's why we were super long biased at a very big level at 396 that we were not going to get over, or under rather, into the downside territory. So we were going to come back and fill this. And again, posted this way before it happened, all the way up to the fill and plus some. Then we should consolidate for another day and head back up. Now, these gaps, they have magnets to them, right? And especially when the moving average algos work out, predictively, they're very easy to read on the next day. So when we say 2 red days underneath a 10 SMA, that's what we look for and then trade the intraday of it. So if we have the Qs here, again, 10 SMA, a couple days under, the 10 SMA is coded right here on our custom Thinker swim scripts that we give to our paid members here. We can sell these. So 10 SMA, 10 SMA, 10 SMA, that's the daily calculated into the 5-minute chart. So it's a daily 10 SMA that we got inside our 5-minute chart. Very handy. So we have 1 day, 2 day, and this is our 3rd day. 3rd days usually don't exist without extreme catalyst, and we need hype, fear, and greed. It just doesn't. So the algorithm tends to loop back up towards the 10 SMA, right? All the way back up there. And what happens is when that algorithm completes, we usually get the backside. Now, what they do is they dump it under the 10 SMA, then they trap the shorts, right? So the fresh low breakout scam is one of the best algorithm scams to play, hands down. So what that means is, like yesterday when we have some lows here, right? Here's yesterday's lows. Last little bit, it'll break under yesterday's lows, trap the shorts, because for whatever reason they love to follow a 3rd day red for whatever. They don't understand algorithms, but they love to short the lows, right? So a low break and they're like, oh my goodness, of course that gives the market fuel to get back up and over. And this, they're just not being patient. So if you would have shorted the break of the trend of the 10 SMA, got a couple down days covered here, perfect. But if you know how the algorithms work, especially on moving average, you would have expected a 10 SMA loop here and a fresh low under, right? yesterday's lows. That is going to be one of those things that you watch for to reverse the move. Now, intraday, where we made this $1,200, was literally just the easy consolidations. If we push back up here and on the Qs, we just held our VWAPs, man. Like I know they calculate throughout the day, and that does change the route a little bit, but volume area lows on the 5-day, 5-minute held right here, and we'll go over the volume profile here in a second as well, which we covered in the last video. Again, check the description. I'll link the last video to all these predictions before it happened today. But the volume area lows right here were held, and then VWAP is hit on the low side, and then once we were over the center VWAP and volume profiles in this very big weekly level that we had posted out this morning, big white level right there, just above 397. That was the carrier. That was the one that was going to push us. So let's take a peek, delete these. Look what happened. Here's the fresh low. Like we were just talking about, algorithms love to fresh low scam out. I got stopped out of this one actually on that fresh one because I planned on buying into a fresh low of day down here, and then it jerked right back up, so I had to chase it back up with NQ because we were anticipating that for quite some time. But above the yellow level, white level, with close, it will squeeze up, and then we get our 100 EMA typical. That's one of my favorite moving averages here on the 5-minute. And then just like yesterday's videos, we claimed that the MAC had a ton of room, and the MAC looked really good. So let's take a peek at the 5-day, 5-minute MAC. Right? Why did that happen? Well, that happened right here. The cross happened at open, right? So not only do we have perfect convergence here, higher lows on RSI, we had a cross on the MAC moving averages, and that's one of my favorite long potential moves. So now we're back in the swing. We'll be pushing this back up for quite some time in the long term as in a day, you know, couple days to a week. Nothing, you know, I'm not holding for all-time highs tomorrow. But when we get this move, my draw tool, with a MAC cross, with a RSI high low, surrounded in buyer volume, look how big those buyer candles are. And then we're going to get that continuation squeeze. The 100 EMA is usually the algo target on the 5-minute. You can see our first reaction on the neon green 5-minute right there, pushed, came back down. I said buy all consolidations, buy any dips, and then stop out fresh, low, hard open close a day if you have to. Just hold it. So we're already up on highs. We got swings going now on Futes, and now I just want to see us back up to the 666 5-minute for the short term. We could hit that today on a pump. We get some pump later on the day. We'll see. But tomorrow, employment report. Then moving into next week for further data to further move us up to the 10 SMA loop because we got to get that lower high. So as I posted on Twitter as well, SPY has a gap. Qs has a gap rather. Above here, and this is going to be the target. I'll post this on YouTube as well here. Anything above 397 is what we're going to see as a loop. Here's the 10 SMA break. Here's your gap, looping all the way back up to at least a tag. I don't care about the fill or not. I'm going long from here. All the way up to gap tag. Usually that'll fail and that'll be fine, but that is the back test, the confirmation you need on a 10 SMA loop of price action. So not too hard there. So last but not least, the volume profiles, which I said to go over in a sec. Go over to the SPY. I go to my 30-30, and this is where we got our giant blue zone, again posted on Twitter for a bounce play. And this is why we had a double layover zone here. So if we go to the 30-30, we have 2 days where we had a massive amount of trading volume on limit orders in the same day, and that is still, after all these days traded, the highest amount of zone traded, right? It was right here. Right there, day 1, day 2, and then full range. Now remember, we bounced this higher low bounce, squeezed it after that big jump up or big drop, and then came all the way back down to test a lower breakdown. Now again, I posted on Twitter our Powell VWAPs for the bounce. This was our ending short move. You see all these lines up here? Those are extensions on VWAPs to a specific anchor that I said would come back down. So once we get into the +2, we fail. +1 down to the 0. Once it breaks a 0, we're going to magnet to the -1, and next will be the -2, but we need that retrace back to wherever we're going to go before we come back down to that Powell 2, if that's how the market wants to give us. Now again, any outsource information could change that, but we'll be ready for that. Now, -2 on those anchors and all of these supports. Once we got under that a little bit into the anchor VWAP, right? That anchor, you can see the double bottom on. Keep losing my drawing tool here. Right here. That right there was one of the biggest consensus longs. If we are not trending under this anchor, we are squeezing back. And we are on our 3rd day under the 10 SMA. So again, stacking these indicators on top of each other, helping us with that bias. Now we are above the huge blue zone, and this is the blue zone, which was our short target from 2 days ago. We were short anything under the orange zone into the blue zone, and then for the pop, and then for the chop, and then back over the blue zone for the long, which is typical, right? They always try to trap. The price action will scoot under a mega big zone like this and then snap up to it, and shorters will come in, and they'll short that roll, or they'll short the low break for God knows whatever the hell reason they do that for. But they get on the bottom, they get popped back out, and that's the fuel to start the fire. And then they're going to start closing. And anybody that maybe was swinging short from back up here, just holding for a little bit, they're going to start stopping out above those big zones there. Options to start coming in, and so on and so forth. There's a bunch of reasons to get out there. But with that being said, now let's watch our retrace. Let's watch our volume area lows, and let's watch the consolidation. So any closes above 469.50 on SPY and 397 on Qs. Those two zones will be swing capable and will come all the way back up towards the Qs gap. In my opinion, that is pretty far away at 407. I know it looks ridiculous, but when we reclaim 400, we'll probably start scooting. That could be data for tomorrow and into next week. We'll see. But for the coming weeks, pay attention to your volume profiles, pay attention to your oscillation indicators. The last couple things you want to pay attention to here is the MAC. The MAC is on way down here, negative zone on the 30-30. We've been climbing higher lows. You have the divergence for this move to play out. Look at the 30-30 on the Qs. Higher low, crossing higher low. Once we break into that zero, right, then the market will just fly back, and the oscillation has been telling you for the last couple of days, hey, start looking for a bottom. Hey, start looking for a bottom. Hey, start looking for a bottom with all this data. And what did we do? Well, we waited till we hit a massive bottom, aka a volume or a volume profile triple level and a anchor VWAP -2, right? And 2 days red under the 10 SMA. All three of those massive psychological catalyst and technical catalyst will derive this play and help out the 30-30. So pay attention to your oscillation 30-30 and walk it up. If you don't trust the whole move long, start paying attention to your volume profiles. I'll give you a small hint right here for your last one. Right here, you have 2 matches with 3. So the easiest long trade is the 400 and 233. Okay. All right. Stay true and turn it to the next.